One of the scariest concepts in science fiction is that of an alien invasion. Exploited by writers such as H.G. Wells in a myriad Hollywood movies over the years, there is an inherent fear instilled within the human race of just such an invasion. There's a good reason for that. If aliens did attack, there is very likely nothing we could do about it. The good news is that they probably wouldn't show up in flying saucers and start shooting the place up. That's an unrealistic scenario for many reasons, the main one being that it's unnecessary. There are far better, cheaper ways to conquer or destroy a planet. The bad news is that if an alien civilization did attack, we'd never see it coming, and chances are we'd be gone before we ever even got a look at the aliens. So here are 10 ways aliens could kill us all and we'd never see it coming. Number 10. Irradiating the planet. One of the most frightening possibilities in our universe is mass extinction at the hands of gamma rays. This form of extinction can happen naturally, such as when a gamma ray burst is created during the formation of a black hole and shines radiation onto a planet in its path. Gamma ray bursts are common, we detect them all the time, and it's thought that at least once in Earth's history, a mass extinction occurred because we were just a little too close to the source of one of these bursts when it went off. But could an alien race orchestrate the collapse of a nearby star in such a way as to irradiate Earth? This would be beyond difficult, as you'd need to point the burst towards us by manipulating how the star is oriented in space, which may not be possible. This thankfully makes this scenario highly unlikely, but if they did, we would have literally no warning as gamma rays travel at the speed of light. The effects of such a burst would be devastating on many levels, whether natural or not. Firstly, say goodbye to the ozone layer, which would almost instantly be destroyed, exposing the surface of the Earth to dangerous ultraviolet radiation. Secondly, gamma radiation is the bad kind. It's the type that you need lead shielding to protect against. Life does not fare well against gamma rays, but the Earth would eventually recover, leaving a fresh, uninhabited world for the aliens to colonize. Number 9. Strange matter. Here we get into the highly theoretical but seemingly possible, at least right now. There is a material thought to form inside neutron stars called strange matter, or strangelets. Neutron stars are dead stars that are too small to have collapsed into black holes, but are large enough to have enough gravity to break the bonds of the atom and form unusual materials. One is called neutronium, a ridiculously dense and heavy material, so much so that a teaspoonful would weigh many tons. But it's forced to be that way by the intense gravity of the neutron star, which squashes the atoms into a material made of pure neutrons. But what happens at the core of a neutron star where the pressures are unbelievably great? One theory is that an even denser material forms, which is strange matter. This matter would be made up entirely of quarks and theoretically has two frightening properties. First, one theory suggests that it would be stable outside the core of a neutron star, and second, it would convert anything it touches into strange matter. This means that any alien race possessing such a material could send a bullet of strange matter towards a planet, which would set off a chain reaction converting that planet and anything on it into strange matter, thus ending all life on that world. Number 8. Genetically enhanced viruses. Biotechnology today is largely a matter of working with the existing rather than creating anything new, but eventually we can see a time where we might be able to create DNA from scratch and program designer organisms for a variety of tasks. One such task would be to destroy an alien race with a slate wiper virus fine-tuned to utterly annihilate their biosphere. Likewise, they could do the same to us. There are two approaches for this. One would be to tweak the virus to destroy all life on Earth. After everything is dead, the alien species could cultivate their own forms of life from their home planet and colonize. Number 2 would be to target a specific species, such as humans, and eradicate only that life form, leaving the original biosphere intact. Number 7. Change Earth. Life on Earth exists under a very specific set of rules and conditions. Because we evolved here, we are beholden to certain ideal chemical and environmental factors, such as levels of oxygen, for example. If we had less, we'd die off quickly. If we had more, fire and combustion becomes too dangerous to use. But these conditions are probably not the only set that can allow life to exist. Conquering Earth may be so simple as changing it into a twin of the aliens' home world. With sufficient technology, the aliens may send a probe or some type of nanotechnology that changes the makeup of Earth's atmosphere in such a way that it kills off the existing life, leaving a fresh, atmospherically perfect planet for the aliens to call home. Number 6. Black holes and wormholes. Few things in the universe are as powerful as black holes. While we normally think of them as extremely massive objects that no one would want to get near, they can also theoretically be microscopic. And while microscopic black holes evaporate very rapidly due to a lack of mass, there may be a way to make them more stable. If so, watch out. The effects of a black hole attack on Earth would be beyond comprehension. The black hole would be drawn to the center of the Earth by gravity, consuming material until it reaches the core. Then it would continue on and exit the planet on the other side, but then it would begin a cycle of oscillation as it passed through the planet multiple times until there was nothing left. Another option might be a wormhole. While we have no idea how to make these things stable if they can even exist, wormholes theoretically serve to link 2 points in space together. We usually think of this in terms of sending a spaceship through one end to arrive at some other far point in space, but you could also theoretically open one up in front of a planet moving along in its orbit, gobbling it up and sending it somewhere else. That somewhere else might just be the interior of the sun. Number 5. The von Neumann Invasion Fleet. Self-replicating space probes are nothing new in science fiction. They were most famously depicted in 2001: A Space Odyssey and its sequel as huge black monoliths that self-replicate and turn Jupiter into a star. But the idea of using von Neumann probes to accomplish various tasks in a galaxy is actually a very efficient way of doing it. If an alien race constructed a single probe that could scour raw materials and build copies of itself, it could in theory infect the galaxy like a virus, placing a von Neumann probe in every star system lying dormant and waiting for life to develop in those systems. Some of these probes might be for exploratory purposes or contact purposes, etc., but they could also be used for warfare. If an alien species feels that another species could be a threat, they could use the von Neumann probe stationed in that system to eradicate life on that world in any number of ways. These ways include disrupting the system's star to throw a technology-destroying solar flare at the inhabited world and send them back to the Stone Age. Another would be to nudge an asteroid their way and kick off a mass extinction, or unleash a virus, and so on. Number 4. Antimatter. The effects of matter-antimatter reactions are well known. If matter comes into contact with antimatter, they mutually annihilate. If an alien species could create antimatter easily, they might simply mass produce it and start tossing it at Earth. It wouldn't take long before the planet was devastated. On the other hand, if we were sufficiently advanced, we might be able to fight this one off by firing back. As the incoming antimatter enters our system, we could fling asteroids at it and harmlessly detonate it out in space. Number 3. The Grey Goo. This scenario doesn't really comprise an invasion, rather an utter, wholesale annihilation of a world. There is a controversial theory within nanotechnological research that suggests that it's possible to create a kind of microscopic von Neumann probe. If unleashed on a planet, these tiny robots would use the Earth as raw materials for exponential reproduction. Exponential means just that. The more there are, the more new probes are made. This would result in the consumption of the entire planet and everything on it in a mere 2 days. Number 2. Fling a planet at us. Gravity is an enormously powerful weapon if you want to wage wars against alien races. The good news is that it's a very hard thing to manipulate. The bad thing is that a sufficiently advanced species may be able to do just that and fling a rogue planet into our star system. Such a thing would have disastrous results. By making it pass near Earth, it could disrupt the Earth's orbit and fling us out into deep space where we would very quickly freeze. Life's only hope for survival would be geothermal vents in the ocean. There it might survive in the cold of deep space, but for us on the surface there would likely be no hope. Number 1. The speed of light asteroid. This one is simple, easy, and the most likely. Accelerate a large object to some high fraction of the speed of light and aim it at Earth like a cannon. The projectile, perhaps an asteroid, would be on top of us before we knew it was coming. Asteroid impacts are bad enough, but one traveling at near the speed of light? Not good. It's worth noting, though, that we're still here. Any of these scenarios could, and possibly should, have happened already if they were going to happen at all. So maybe we've already dodged the bullet? I hope so. Thanks for listening. I am futurist and science fiction author John Michael Gautier, currently a little spooked after recording this video, and be sure to check out my books at your favorite online book retailer and subscribe to my channel for in-depth, regular explorations into the interesting, weird, and unknown aspects of this amazing universe in which we live.